Last night I was talking to my husband about Nebuchadnezzar and how God used him, even called him his servant. Even though Nebuchadnezzar was a pagan king who was so prideful, so evil, so arrogant, very violent. He conquered Judah and Jerusalem, but yet and still God called him his servant. It reminds me so much of Trump and how in 2017 I was not even walking a holy righteous life. As a matter of fact, I was in the middle of the act, watching the inauguration, in the middle of the act of not being sober minded, smoking. And I said to the room that surrounded me, I said to the people in the room, my associates at the time, I said to them, Trump is going to use, it's nothing we could do about it. It looks like he's about to win, but I pray that God uses him in a mighty way to where he will change. His life will change. He will get saved, and all will see that, and they will see how real God is. Because if someone of such influence like this, and someone who everyone looks at in a negative light, if they can change, then they will have hope for their own lives. It's 2026, and look at what's going on with Venezuela. So many people have so many things to say, thinking it's only about the oil. But believers should know better. Believers should be reminded about different stories in the Bible. For example, Nebuchadnezzar. Okay? How the Lord, in fact, uses kings. They might not be in on the mission and the will of God, what God is wanting to do. Because even though he conquered Judah and he conquered Jerusalem, it was due to their disobedience. They were warned by prophets, for example, Jeremiah, and they ignored it. So what Nebuchadnezzar, by him conquering Judah and Jerusalem, God's children and his people, it was due to their judgment. It was due to their judgment. And people always leave, they don't think, they think about that part, but they don't want to think about that part. It was due to God's judgment. And it was not, the Babylonian exile was not supposed to be permanent, but in fact temporary. Right? So you can wake up, God's children could wake up, because as a parent, that's what God does to us. He allows certain things to happen for us to wake up and return back to him, his children, because that's what love will do. That's what a parent does, right? So let us continue to pray for the nations. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care how evil a king may seem to be. Baby, do you have the resources to do what they can do? If you don't have the resources to do what they can do, then what you have to do is pray, especially as a believer. Pray that God uses them, that their hearts are changed, that lives are changed because of them, and that God will get the glory out of their power and their reign. Baby, you don't have the resources to do what they can do. That's why God uses them. That's why the Bible says that he places them there. It's not about their imperfections. It's about power and authority, and how God uses those in power and authority to let his will be done. Okay? They may not be on board with it, but in the end, absolutely, Nebuchadnezzar was humbled, and he acknowledged who God is in his life. And his life was never the same.